So one idea that I keep hearing over and over again is share what worked for you. I really like that idea. Share what worked for you. If you're trying to help other people, share what worked for you. A lot of people, when they share, they share because they want validation, or they share because they want attention, or they share because they're wounded and they are just looking for a way to heal their wound. And I'm talking about like on social media and whatnot. But if you share what helped you, you're actually creating something of value that you can give to other people because it worked for you. You're not sharing what didn't work for you. You're sharing what worked for you. And somebody can go and take that piece of information and model it and use it and do really great things with it in their own life. And if you think about what's been happening for the last year and a half, that paradigm out there in society, it's not about sharing what worked for you. It's about trying to force something that doesn't work onto everybody and trying to silence everybody else that has a different view. And that clearly is not sustainable. It's not healthy. It's not inspiring. It's not genuine. And so this new idea of share what worked for you, I think that is like the healthy way to do it, because when you're dealing with human beings, you're always going to have different groups, different pockets, different, niches, different cliques, and not everybody is going to vibe with you. Not everybody's going to want to hear what you have to say. Not everybody's interested in like certain flavors, and that is okay. And we need to be okay with that. Like, the person that I vibe with is not going to be the person that this other person vibes with, and that's okay. And that's actually diversity. That's the lesson in diversity. We can't force everybody to vibe with a certain person or idea. Like, people need to choose what works for them. They have to like do trial and error. They have to take action and experiment with the philosophy, the action, the people, the ideas. Like, every human being has the right to go out and learn something and then put it into practice and see what the results are in their own life and see if it works or not. Every human being has the right to test something over time to see if it works over time, over and over again. Like, does it work throughout time, or did it only work that once? Was it just luck? We get to experiment with this and we get to try this out. So when I'm thinking about sharing what worked for me, there was an interview I did last year with Charlie from the Projector Movement. And I continue to get messages about from people who've watched that interview, and they love it. And then, they message me about it. So we were talking about human design and what it means to be a projector. I'm a projector in human design. So there's like 5 different types of human beings in human design, and it's very accurate. And you don't have to believe in it. You can if you want. I've found certain elements of it helpful, and some of those elements have worked for me. And I've like cherry picked the ones that worked and the ones that didn't. For example, with being a projector, there's this idea that I need to wait for an invitation before I do anything major with my life. I don't need to wait for an invitation on small things. I can just go ahead and do them. But for like the big things like work, business, who to marry, where to live, I need to wait for the invitation. And Dan is also a projector. So we're both like having to invite each other over and over again. But as I looked back on my life, I could see all the times where I did not wait for an invitation and I was trying to force my way into something and it did not work. So for me, I have learned that force does not work. However, consistently doing my best, consistently showing up, consistently taking care of myself, that has a cumulative positive effect over time. And that is what draws in the invitations for me. At the same time, I also know that like one of the time-tested principles of the world is that you need to work. We all need to work diligently at something to build up our money, build up our fortune, build up our savings, all that stuff. And like nothing is accomplished without work. And there's this whole debate about whether it's about doing versus being, working versus resting, and work ethic versus working too much, working not enough, getting burned out, all those things. So all those things are interesting to me because as a projector, supposedly I run out of energy and I'm not designed to work long hours. So I have tested that for myself, and that is true. I can do really solid work for 60 to 90 minutes, and then my brain gets a little tired, so I switch to something physical. And then, I'll do the physical activity for a while, and then my body will get tired, and I'll come back and I'll switch back to something that requires my mind and my intellectual thought. So what worked for me was understanding that there needs to be an invitation on an energetic level, like somebody needs to invite me to work with them or to share my insight. And then on the flip side of that, I also don't want to sit around doing nothing. So I am constantly like doing something. And I'm like always pushing that edge of like, how much can I do while being my best self without, completely burning myself out. So these past like 3 months since we moved to Arizona, I've actually been very tired. I've had low energy, and I've also been working a lot. I don't think that the tiredness is due to the work, though. I think it's due to I'm in a brand new environment, a new state. Everything's brand new to me, and it's just taken up tons of mental energy, and it's a lot of work. So it's like my battery's getting drained every day pretty quickly, but I don't use that as a reason to stop or to quit. I do my best to get at least 7 hours of sleep every night. I prefer 8 to 9, but I just have so much to do that I don't even want to sleep that much. So 6.5 and under feels very hard for me. It's just rough on my body. And so I've tested it both ways. 7.5 hours seems to be the sweet spot for sleep. But see, that's the thing is like every person needs to figure that out for themselves. Like you find somebody that's sharing what worked for them and you're seeing if it resonates with you. And then you're testing that for yourself. You're seeing if it works for your life. And if it does, why would you quit? Why would you run away from that? Why would you suddenly switch directions and go off on a totally different direction? Another thing that has really worked for me is practicing being consistent at the right things. And I know there's this whole argument about whether consistency is good or bad. Well, if you look at the people that are talking about consistency is bad, okay, but do they have the results that you want? Are they doing the things that you want to do? Are they living a sound life, like based on principles that work? Like, there's like so many people that are experimenting and you can just tell they don't know what they're doing. They're kind of winging it. And I know because I have done that. I can spot a winger. And I'm personally drawn to people that are creating their life based on solid principles, like solid foundation, solid structure. Not that it has to be like this, like rigid thing, but it's like you find strength in the principles. You find strength in adhering to the principles. Which is really difficult for me. So that's why I'm being drawn to do it more so that I can master that area more.